Is he okay? What happened?
Her younger brother Jamal still curled up on the couch. The old floorboards groaned under her bare feet as she tiptoed to the bathroom. In the cracked mirror, tired eyes stared back at her. Dark circles told the story of someone who worked too much, slept too little, and carried the weight of two lives on her shoulders. But today, she forced a smile. Today wasn't just another shift. Today could change everything. By 5:15, Kesha was out the door, walking the empty streets toward Murphy's diner. The morning air bit at her cheeks, but she welcomed it. The city was just starting to wake, delivery trucks rumbling by, streetlights blinking against the dawn. She pushed open the diner's glass door, the bell overhead jingling a familiar tune. Morning sunshine, called Eddie the cook, already frying bacon. Morning, Eddie, Kesha said with a tired grin as she tied her apron. For the next 6 hours, she poured coffee, balanced plates, and smiled through the ache in her feet. Construction crews grabbed their orders without a word. Office workers barely looked up from their phones. By the time the rush slowed and her shift ended at 11:00, Kesha counted her tips, crumpled bills, coins that smelled of copper and grease. $23.47. 6 hours of non-stop work, and it wasn't enough. Rent was due. Utilities hung over her. Jamal still needed money for textbooks. That knot in her stomach tightened again, the one that never really left. Walking home, she passed the towering glass building that seemed to scrape the sky, Petton Technologies. She had walked past it 1,000 times, watching the polished men and women disappear through its revolving doors like they belonged to a different universe. In that world, $23 was nothing. In hers, it was survival. Back at the apartment, Jamal sat at the tiny kitchen table, buried in borrowed textbooks and his old laptop. "How was work?" he asked, eyes still on the page. "Good," Kesha lied, forcing brightness into her voice. "What are you working on?" "Chemistry, got a big test." He finally looked up, and for a moment Kesha saw her mother's determination shining in his eyes. It reminded her why she had given up school herself, why every late night, every double shift was worth it. "I found that scholarship I told you about," Jamal said, his voice lifting with excitement. "Application due Friday." "That's great," she said, even as her mind raced. Scholarships needed interviews. Interviews needed suits, and suits cost money. "I found one at the thrift store. $40, he admitted. Kesha smiled softly. $40 might as well have been 400, but she said the words anyway. "We'll figure it out." Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hello? Is this Kesha Williams?" "Yes. This is Jennifer from PT Industries. We received your application for the receptionist position. Can you come in for an interview today? 3 p.m. Her breath caught. PT Industries. She had applied weeks ago and never expected to hear back. "Yes, absolutely, I'll be there." She hung up and stared at the phone in disbelief. $45,000 a year, health insurance, paid vacation, a lifeline for her, for Jamal, for both of them. "What was that about?" Jamal asked. "I got an interview at PT Industries." Jamal's eyes widened. "Kesha, that's huge." She was already calculating. Rent, food, Jamal's books, a chance at a better life. She counted her money, $23.47. The train ticket would cost 15. She hadn't eaten since yesterday, but she would manage. Somehow she always did. She grabbed her resume and her purse, forcing herself to breathe steady. This was it. Everything they had fought for led to this moment. "Wish me luck," she said. "You don't need luck, sis. You've got this." And with that, Kesha walked toward the train, toward the day that would change her life forever. Union Station pulsed with late afternoon energy. The rush of commuters, the blur of footsteps, voices echoing off steel and stone. Everyone focused on their own destination. Nobody looking twice at anyone else. Kesha clutched her resume folder like it was made of glass. She checked her phone. 2:45, perfect. The 2:15 train would take her straight downtown. 15 minutes early, just like they asked. Her stomach growled, reminding her she hadn't eaten since a crust of toast yesterday. But food didn't matter. Not now. This interview could rewrite her entire future. As she walked toward the platform, gray clouds pushed across the sky. A few drops of rain tapped her forehead, then more. Within seconds, the drizzle became a downpour. People sprinted for shelter under the station's overhangs. Kesha pulled her thin jacket tighter, hurrying toward the boarding area. The train was already waiting, doors open, passengers climbing aboard. That's when she noticed him. An elderly man, sitting perfectly still on a wooden bench while chaos swirled around him. His expensive wool coat was soaked through. Silver hair plastered flat against his head. In his hands, a worn leather portfolio with the initials HP pressed into the cover. Something was wrong. Kesha slowed. His eyes were glassy, unfocused. His lips moved, but no sound came out, like he was trying to hold on to something slipping away. All aboard, final call for the 2:15 downtown express. Her head snapped toward the train. The conductor was closing the doors. 30 seconds left. The man tried to stand, swaying like a tree in a storm. His face was ashen, almost gray. His hand gripped his chest. His breathing came in sharp, shallow gasps. "Sir," Kesha shouted. No one else even turned. 20 seconds. His eyes locked onto hers, wide with terror. His lips formed a single word, barely audible. "Please." 15 seconds. Kesha's heart hammered. Train, job, Jamal's future, 45,000 a year, everything she had worked for. 10 seconds. The man's body trembled, his knuckles white as he clung to the bench. Sweat trickled down his face despite the cold rain. He looked like he was about to collapse. 5 seconds. The conductor raised his hand to signal departure. Kesha dropped her resume folder and ran. "Sir, stay with me," she cried, kneeling beside him as the train pulled away behind her, taking her shot at a better life with it. Up close he looked even worse, his breathing ragged, his skin cold and clammy. "My chest," he whispered, "can't breathe." Kesha's fingers shook as she dialed. 911, what's your emergency? "I'm at Union Station. Elderly male, chest pain, difficulty breathing. He's conscious but fatting. Please send help fast." The dispatcher began asking questions. Kesha loosened his tie, unbuttoned the top of his shirt. "Stay with me, okay? You're not alone." "Harold," he croaked. "I was supposed to meet someone." "It's all right, Harold, I'm Kesha. Help is on the way, just focus on breathing." Even in distress, he clutched that portfolio tight. His voice, though weak, carried the tone of someone used to being obeyed. His eyes flicked to the skyline, to the tallest glass tower looming in the storm. "They're waiting for me, important." Kesha followed his gaze. Petton Technologies. The very building she had walked past 1,000 times, dreaming of belonging inside. "Don't worry about meetings right now," she said softly. "Just stay with me." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Rainwater streaked down Harold's pale face. His grip on her hand trembled, then weakened. "Please don't leave me alone." Her phone buzzed. Unknown number, PT Industries. The interview, 10 minutes. She could still make it if she ran, if she left him here. Her hand tightened around Harold's instead. She pressed decline. "I'm not going anywhere," she whispered. What Kesha didn't know was that, in choosing compassion over survival, she had just stepped into a story far larger than her own. Harold wasn't just any man on a bench in the rain. And this wasn't just another Tuesday at Union Station. Red and blue lights cut through the gray. Paramedics rushed over with a stretcher. "What's the situation?" asked the lead EMT. "Chest pains, severe shortness of breath, possible heart attack," Kesha said quickly. "Name, Harold. He was disoriented when I found him." Even as the paramedics worked, Harold wouldn't let go of her hand. His lips moved again, almost too soft to hear. Words that would echo in her life forever. Harold's grip was surprisingly strong for a man in distress. "Harold, I'm Sarah," the paramedic said gently, tightening a blood pressure cuff around his thin arm. "We're going to take good care of you. Can you tell me your last name?" His eyes darted between the paramedics and Kesha, panic flashing like lightning. I don't, the meeting." "It's okay," Kesha soothed, her voice low and steady. "Don't worry about that right now. Just focus on breathing. Focus on getting better." Sarah checked the monitor. Blood pressure elevated but stable, pulse rapid. "We need to move now. Get him in for an EKG." They rolled out the stretcher, but Harold refused to let go of Kesha's hand. His fingers clung to hers like she was the only thing anchoring him. "Please don't leave me," he whispered, rainwater still dripping from his hair. Kesha looked at the paramedics. "Can I ride with him?" "Are you family?" Sarah asked. "No, but he doesn't seem to have anyone else." Sarah hesitated, then nodded. "All right, come on." As they lifted Harold into the ambulance, Kesha's phone lit up again. PT Industries. She froze, staring at the screen. Her heart twisted. This was it. The call that could change everything. She knew what it meant if she didn't answer. She knew her window was already closing. With trembling fingers, she hit decline. Then she climbed inside the ambulance. The ride blurred past in flashing red lights and the hiss of oxygen. The paramedics worked quickly, adjusting monitors, fitting Harold with a mask. Kesha held his hand the entire time. "Stay with me, Harold," she repeated. "You're going to be okay, just breathe." Through the small back window, the city raced by. Towers of glass and steel, towers where her interview was happening without her. Someone else was in that chair, shaking hands, talking about their dreams. But none of that mattered as much as the man gasping for air in front of her. At Chicago General, everything moved at lightning speed. Harold was rushed into the ER. Kesha was left standing in the waiting area, her wet jacket clinging to her shoulders. She sank into a cracked plastic chair, the antiseptic smell filling her nose, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Her phone buzzed again. 3 missed calls, PT Industries. She thought of explaining, of telling them why she didn't show. But what would she say? That she'd chosen a stranger over her own future. That she'd let her one shot slip through her fingers. Time crawled. An hour passed, then another. Finally, a doctor appeared, pulling down his mask. "Are you here with Harold?" "Yes," Kesha said quickly, standing. "He's stable now. Appears he had an anxiety-induced cardiac episode, complicated by dehydration and a reaction to new medication. His memory's coming back. Vitals are improving." Relief washed over her. "Can I see him?" "He's been asking for you." Inside the room, Harold looked different, stronger. Color had returned to his face. His breathing was steady. He was sitting up in bed when he spotted her. "There's my guardian angel," he said with a faint smile. "How are you feeling?" she asked softly. "Better, much better, thanks to you." He studied her with sharp eyes, eyes that seemed to see deeper than she wanted. "You saved my life, you know. Anyone would have done the same." "No," Harold said firmly. "They wouldn't have, I remember. Dozens of people walked by me, pretended I wasn't even there, but you stopped, and you gave up something important to do it." Kesha looked down at her soggy resume folder, her chest tight. "I just did what was right." "What was so important that you almost did?" Harold asked quietly. The words tumbled out before she could stop them. "A job interview, a receptionist position. It could have changed everything for my family." Harold leaned forward, expression sharpening. "Would have." "I missed it," she admitted, her voice cracked. "I was supposed to be there hours ago." "What company?" he pressed. "PT Industries," Kesha said, almost ashamed. "I know it's not much, but the salary was more than I've ever made. My brother, he needs me to." "PT Industries." Harold interrupted, sitting straighter, eyes flashing with sudden recognition. Before Kesha could respond, the hospital door burst open. A tall man in his 40s hurried in, tailored suit, polished shoes. The resemblance was undeniable, the same piercing blue eyes as Harold. "Dad, thank God you're okay. When your driver called and said you never showed, we thought." "I'm fine, David," Harold said, relief softening his voice. "This young woman saved my life." David turned to Kesha, gratitude written plain across his face. "I can't thank you enough. We were worried sick when he didn't arrive for the board meeting." "Board meeting," Kesha echoed, her mind racing. "His new heart medication caused confusion," David explained. "He was supposed to be at headquarters finalizing the Pettin merger. When he disappeared, we shut everything down to look for him." "The Pettin deal," Harold muttered, his memory slotting back into place. "We were supposed to sign today." "It's handled, Dad," David assured him. "Everything was postponed until we found you." Pettin, the word hit Kesha like a lightning strike. She had seen it every day etched on the side of that skyscraper downtown. She had dreamed of working inside those glass walls. And now, sitting across from her in a hospital bed, was the man at the very top of it all.